Chapter 52. Adam didn't know if he was prepared for what he had to do next. Visiting Ollie and Karen had been a little scary, considering he hadn't seen them in 19 years, but those had been friendly visits. He didn't plan to be as pleasant to his next stop. He entered the neighborhood, drove up a very steep hill, then carefully looked at the houses on his right until he found the one he wanted. It was a nice gray one-story set in such low land that he practically had to run down the driveway to keep from falling. He saw the old familiar sedan that he'd ridden in numerous times as a kid. It was definitely a product of its time, the early 90s, bought shortly after going to a Milli Vanilli concert. Uncle Billy answered the door seconds after Adam rang the bell. "My favorite nephew," he yelled as he shook Adam's hand. "What's up, little man?" "Hey, I was in town, so I figured I'd swing by. Is it a bad time?" Adam stepped into the foyer and was immediately struck by nostalgia. The living room was directly ahead, with an old gray felt couch that he used to fall asleep on as a kid. A large stereo system sat on pretty much the entire left wall. There were multiple receivers and tape decks, along with CD players and turntables. A table rested in front of the couch with a bowl full of walnuts. "Do you want a drink?" Uncle Billy asked as he headed to an enclosed parlor to the right. "Do you drink?" "Sometimes," Adam said as he followed. "I'm good, though." The parlor was the size of Adam's Texas bedroom. There was a bar on the left and a sectional and ottoman on the right. He sat on a bar stool while his uncle poured himself a glass of whiskey. "How's your mama?" he asked Adam. "She's fine. I just saw her for Christmas. I actually came here to see some old friends." "And to visit your favorite uncle?" Adam grinned politely. He couldn't help but wonder if this was what Dad would have looked like had he not been murdered 21 years ago. They'd favored each other greatly, as Adam had been reminded of during his trip to 1989. It was difficult talking to Billy now, wondering what could have been. "Uncle Billy," Adam said slowly, "I want to talk about Dad." Uncle Billy swirled the ice cubes in his whiskey glass and stared at Adam. His usual jovial self that was just in evidence seconds ago was completely gone now. "Why do you want to talk about him?" he asked as he took a sip. "I recently started remembering stuff from my childhood about him, like how he cheated on Mom with that girl Cynthia Swanson, and how he did cocaine with you at the beach house in 1989. "Hold up," Billy interrupted. "You're what, almost 40, so I guess it's okay to talk about this. But your dad wasn't a bad man, if that's what you're getting at." "It's not. I loved Dad. I think I love him more now than I did before." Billy smiled. "Well, that's good. Better late than never. He was always a good father to you." "But not always a great husband to Mom." "I suppose he wasn't perfect." "That's why I'm here," Adam said after a silent moment. "I'm trying to figure out who killed him." Uncle Billy had been reaching for the whiskey bottle, but then stopped and said, "What are you talking about?" "Dad's death. I know it's been 21 years, but I feel like no one cares anymore." Uncle Billy just stared, as if he were trying to make sense of Adam's words. Then he said, "I see what you're doing." Adam didn't respond. "You got me, little man." He sighed, then said, "I killed your father."